we go. I don't know how many of you know it, but you can make a slip bobber out of a bobber like this, or even one of these round bobbers. All you got to do is cut that wire that's in there. In this case, I'm going to cut that piece of plastic. Just cut that off. That pulls out. That pulls out. Now I'm going to put this back in here. Take that little spring out. So now I have a bobber that I can use for a slip bobber. And I don't like these things with weights on the end of them anyway. They don't allow you to know how deep you're fishing, because if this weight's on here, the bobber is always going to be straight up like that. And if you're using a slip bobber, if after you cast the bobber sitting sideways like this, it means you're on the bottom. So you don't want to fish right on the bottom with a bobber. Might as well not even use it. So what you do is, reel it back in, pull that slip knot down some to shorten this area between the bobber and the hook, and then throw it back out. And the little split shot you put on here will make this stand up. If it's standing up, you know that you aren't fishing on the bottom. So that weight to me is just useless. Maybe I'll think of something else to use it for, but not a slip bobber. Anyway, that's a pretty good little old trick. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Now here, ladies and gentlemen, is a gizmo bobber stop. No, it's not the copper thing. It's the red thing, reddish orange thing there. Now I'm going to show you how I use this. Now there is that little jewel put on the line. And I want to tell you, that was a pretty good chore going through all four of those holes. And I had to, because it just didn't hold going through less than that. But I would never attempt doing that out on a lake in a rocky boat. It would never happen. So this is the Gizmo bobber stop. Came from Amazon. It said there are 4 in a pack for $2.49. There were actually 5 in mine. And that bead is a little bit bigger than the ones that came with it because of the size of the hole and the bobber that I'm going to use. But these other bobber stops that I'm going to show you right now are the ones most used. But this is for a lighter line. It's for a 4 to 12 pound test, and you wouldn't want to even attempt to use it for if you can get out of it and use this other one, then you'd be a lot better off. Okay, I about forgot to show you this second kind of setup here. Now this is a bobber stop that comes in a package like this. The instructions are on the back, self-explanatory. But you push your line through that little black piece of plastic and pull that plastic off, and then you tighten that line down onto it, and you end up with this knot like this. Now this is a heck of a lot easier than that gizmo, but I'm going to see which one of them casts the best. Okay, so I'm just out here today going to try to do a little bluegill fishing, and here's that gizmo thing on my line. This is my bobber stop, and this is my little bluegill rig. There's a bead that goes up against the bobber stop, and of course there's a bobber, and there's a little short clip coming about this, and there's a weight, and there's a little short clip coming about that. And since that weight has this big of a circle on it, I have another bead which will stop it at my leader, and this swivel here, and this is just a Snell, probably a number 6. I think that's a number 6 hook. just a small one. I'm going to be fishing with mealworms. Now, first, let me show you about the mealworms. Okay, I didn't bring many of these mealworms with me today, so I hope that the fishing is pretty good. But I'm just going to take this squirmy little booger. I'm going to go halfway on his body here. See if I can stay out of the weeds. I'm going to let him dangle a little bit, and I like the tip of my hook to show somewhat. I may, if I start losing these, thread him on there a little tighter. Now here's all that you've ever wanted to know about mealworms. Okay, so here's that little container, and it has a born on date here. I just noticed that 6/8/20. I bought these last fall and never did go fishing with them. And I looked around at 2 or 3 bait stores and they didn't have them. Called a couple on the phone, they didn't have them. And I was out at the shopping center one day and there was a PetSmart there. And I thought, I bet they have some of those in there for people that feed their aquarium fish or lizards or something like that. And sure enough, they had some. So I took them. I didn't want to throw them out, so I took them and put them in this container. I made a little container where they could get some air. And that, I don't know how many were in this original container, 18 or 20, but they've turned into I don't know how many. But this is the mealworm. And it goes from that stage, let me switch hands here, to this, boy, those are feisty little things, to this stage there. And then they morph into these beetles. So they'll run their whole life cycle in there. And this is some old leftover lettuce. They really eat that stuff. Now I have them in some cornmeal mix. But I'm going to try to pick through this old lettuce. Make sure I'm not throwing the babies out with the bath water. I have taken this material just one time in the last how many ever months that was, and siphoned out this old cornmeal and put new cornmeal mix in there. But anyway, all I have to do is take some more lettuce and put it in there, and I give them quite a bit. I'll come back and look at this in about 3 days and they will have eaten all that and just turned it into sort of a cellulose. So I'll put that lettuce in there and cover this back up. Oh, and I forgot to tell you something else they like. If I have an apple that's getting old or something like that, I'll put an apple in there every once in a while. But that works out real good, and I have that bait anytime I want to go out and catch a few brim or something like that. I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to use these for. So anyway, there's all you never wanted to know about mealworms. Okay, so first out, I can reel that up a little bit. This is the whole advantage. First out is this green bobber stop. Boy, that casted good. I mean, that went right out there. I didn't feel that bobber stop going through there at all. So I'm going to sit this down. Bait up this other one. Okay, now here goes the gizmo. Another good cast. That's what I wanted to do there. I've got that one set a little deeper, so I threw it out a little further. Now let's see what happens with these mealworms. I want to catch 2 good brims, what I want today. Well, I don't know if my GoPro got hot or if I left it on and it ran out of batteries or what, but this is bluegill number 1 of what I need to catch today. I wanted to get 2. Dang, I don't know what's wrong with my GoPro. That happens to me about every time I go out. But anyway, here's bluegill number 1. I'm gonna catch 1 more. Okay, so I'm getting ready to pull out of here. I hated that GoPro ran out. I must have left it on. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm gonna check it out when I get home. But anyway, so I've got 2 brim, and what the whole point of this thing was is that I'm going to try a new way of grilling these things. Now, if it works with these brim, it'll work with bass, or it'll work with redfish, or specks, or anything you were trying to cook. So the next video is going to be about eating these 2 brim. I'm going to serve it with some vegetable fried rice and probably an egg roll. So I'll see you next time out. Thanks for watching.